Let's make some sourdough bread. This is a brand new starter and I've never made a starter that is only 12 days old into a loaf. So I don't actually know what is going to happen, and so we're gonna learn together. Make sourdough, you want to use the starter at its peak. You'll notice that it will have a dome on the top. That means it is still rising. When it's at peak, the dome will go away and go completely flat. I'm gonna show you how to start your loaf. It's actually so easy to make sourdough. So honestly, if this one fails, it's just because the starter is not ready or I need to feed it another day. Put your bowl on that you're gonna mix everything into and zero it out. And you wanna make sure it's set to grams. It's gonna make 2 loaves, by the way. So I'm gonna add in 100 grams of starter. And I do hope that she's ready, but you don't know until you try. Now there is gonna be starter left over in your container. What I usually do with this is the day of, because I fed it last night, it will eventually need to be fed again. And so what I do is I discard this, and I'm actually going to put it in a discard bowl. I have this bowl of discard that I saved last night, and so I'm just gonna dump the excess discard into here and save a little bit of starter for future feedings, just to keep this starter going. This is gonna be used for discard baking, which is different from making sourdough bread. You can make brownies. I made biscotti the other day. That was really good. So you can make all kinds of things. I'm actually gonna make crackers with these in another video, so you can come back for that. But for now, I'm just gonna put this guy aside and make sure it stays covered just so it doesn't dry out. So I have 100 grams of starter in here. Zero out your scale so you don't have to do any math on top of all of this. And I'm gonna add in 700 grams of lukewarm water. Remove it from the scale to mix. I'm just gonna use a wire whisk to do that. You wanna be kind of vigorous with it. And you'll notice it looks like it's getting soapy. And that's what you want to look like, a nice foam on top. You also never want to mix on your scale. I used to do that, and then somebody watching one of my videos commented and said, don't do that, you can break your scale. So I don't do that anymore. Back on the scale, we're gonna add in the flour, and that is going to be 1,000 grams of bread flour. So get your flour, and I'm actually gonna put this on the floor. I'm doing this today for you so that you don't have to waste ingredients in case it's not ready. Zero out your scale again. Just a little bit more. And 20 grams of salt. Zeroing out the scale. I'm gonna switch to a wooden spoon to stir it, just to make it easier. You want this really well mixed up. This is really the hardest part of making sourdough, is just mixing all the ingredients into a bowl. So a lot of times I'll go in with my hands afterwards, which I might actually end up doing here. This is what your dough will look like as you mix it. It's starting to look really dry. And kind of the ironic rule about sourdough is it's easier to work with when your hands are wet. So I'm just kind of pushing it together, grabbing pieces from the bottom. Now, this is how it looks, and that's normal and super sticky. Now you just want to cover it. I am actually going to the gym, so I won't be able to come back to this for about 2 hours. You're supposed to let this sit for just 1 hour, but I'm very, very bad at following sourdough rules because life just happens and sourdough just takes a large amount of time that I simply don't have. So just know that even though this is a science, it's not an exact science. So, and that's the good thing. So what we're gonna do is let this sit on the counter. You wanna wait 1 hour. I'm gonna be back in 2 hours. That is when we're gonna be performing our stretch and folds, and I'll show you what that looks like when I come back. All right, it's been about 2 hours, and I'm gonna do the first series of stretch and folds. Here's what the sourdough looks like. And all you're gonna do is with wet hands, it just makes it easier, is you're gonna grab the side of your sourdough and pull it up and stretch it. And the goal is not to tear the sourdough, you just want to stretch it. It should be easily stretched because the gluten has had time to relax and strengthen a bit. You're going to grab it from one side, pull it, and you're going to gently stretch it, and then place it down like that. Quarter turn, grab it again, pull it, and you're really trying to stretch it and fold it. Do this a total of 6 to 8 turns. And then you just want to cover it back up and let it set for 30 minutes. And then we're going to do another set of stretch and folds. All right, just took a shower and now I'm going to perform the second set of stretch and folds. As you can see, it's already looking a lot smoother than it did earlier. And it should be very nice and stretchy. And you'll notice after the second set, it's kind of forming more of a ball. Put the cover back on. I'm gonna set this on the counter for another 30 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna do 2 sets of something called a coil fold. So that's a little bit different. With clean, wet hands, I'm going to just grab it on either side, go to the very bottom, and I'm gonna gently pull it up and then drop it like that. And then I'm gonna turn it 90 degrees and do it again. So I'm gonna come down, pull it up. And you want to try to pull it out of the bowl if it will pull away easy, but if not, don't force it. And you're going to do this about 4 to 6 times. And you'll notice little air bubbles when you start to do this, and see how smooth it immediately becomes. And see how it almost looks less stretchy now because that gluten is starting to resist. You're going to cover this for another 30 minutes. I'm now going to do the last set of coil folds. Grab it, go up, and it's gotten nice and stretchy again. That is what the surface of your dough should look like. This process that we're in is called the bulk fermentation period. When you hear that someone says the dough needs to bulk ferment on the counter for 8 hours, that starts from the moment that you mix the dough together to when you do the final shaping. I generally like to let it sit for about 6 hours because you want it to get to about somewhere between like 50 to 75% bigger. This is a very young starter. I have read that younger starters take a little bit longer, but I'm still gonna keep an eye on it, and I think I'm still gonna try to aim for 6 hours because I really don't wanna overdo it. So I will see you back in about 2 hours to check on the sourdough. So this has been fermenting for about 6 hours. It should pull away pretty easily from the sides of the bowl. I'm just going to flip it out onto the counter and try not to help it. Let's see if she can do it. She's coming slowly but surely. All right, mostly clean, a little bit stuck. I think it'll be okay. I'm gonna use rice flour to flour the counter a little bit. It shouldn't be super sticky. If it's super sticky, it might have been overproofed a little bit. I'm gonna cut this in half because I'm making 2 loaves. And you don't wanna rip the dough with your hands. You wanna use something sharp. Now I'm gonna shape the dough. The reason you do this is because it helps the dough build some structure. So I'm just gonna kind of flatten it out. You don't wanna press really hard, but if you see giant air bubbles, you can go ahead and pop those as best I can. What you do is fold it kind of like an envelope. So over once like this, and then grab it from one end and you very tightly roll it up like so to create this little ball here. Push the dough ball with one hand and tuck with the other hand. So what I'm trying to do is make this a nice ball. And what we're doing here is we're creating surface tension. Surface tension is what helps the dough spring in the oven. And shaping your sourdough is just as important as every other step. I'm happy with how that looks. And I have my banneton here, and I'm just going to flour it with the rice flour. And then tap it around. You want it to go in upside down. Scoop it under here and put it upside down. To create more surface tension, pinch the sides like this and then pull it in. You want to be kind of gentle but firm. So grab it and really pull it, and it should look tight right there like that until you've done the whole thing. Now I'm just gonna cover this and refrigerate this overnight. And if you don't have a banneton, you can just use a regular bowl and line it with paper towels like this. And make sure you flour the paper towels really well. Go under here and flip it in. Okay. Cover this one as well and refrigerate overnight, and in the morning we bake. It's currently 6 a.m. I have my oven preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to stick my Dutch oven in the oven so that the Dutch oven gets hot. I'm so excited, but I'm also really nervous. Here is bread number 1. She's been cold fermenting in the fridge overnight, and she has some big bubbles on her. You don't want to see like these huge bubbles because that means it's going to be an air pocket. So what I'm going to do is take some rice flour, put some on my hands, and sprinkle the top a little bit. I'm going to use this to flip it out. So what I'm going to do is gently place it on and then quickly flip it. I dust the top with rice flour, and this is just more for appearances. You don't have to dust the top, but I just like the way it looks when you do that. And just gently smooth it around. And I'm gonna score this, and the point of scoring it is so that when it expands, it has a predictable expansion line, and it's not just like ripping the top of the dough in every which way, so that your dough looks a little more pretty. You don't want to go too far down. Just do your first line almost like you're tracing a line, just very light. But I sometimes will do these little leafy looking things. It's very, very flat, almost like it's trying to become a pancake. And should it be doing that? Probably not. It might have to do with my shaping. It also might have to do with just the fact that it's a very new starter. It also could be due to the fact that I just overproofed it. I think I overproofed this one, but. And now I'm gonna cover this and bake it for about 25 minutes. All right. So she's looking a little flat, but I think this will still taste good. Possibly weak starter since it's early on, and also partially because I might have overproofed it. I had a hunch yesterday the dough was proofed a little bit too long. When it proofs for too long, the dough actually becomes unstable and collapses. So that's why you don't want to overdo it. All right, time to cut into this one. This one's completely cooled. Here goes nothing. Surprise inside. Oh, yep. Smells good. Gotta have butter on this one. It's really just appearances. This is delicious. Your first loaf looks like this. Don't throw it out. You can still eat this. This is delicious. I sensed there was something wrong with my first batch anyways, so I've already mixed up a dough, and this time I'm not gonna leave it on the counter for 2 hours before I do my stretch and folds. I'm gonna wait the hour like you're supposed to, and then start performing my stretch and folds. So because I was a little bit worried about my shaping yesterday, I went ahead and mixed together another batch of dough. This is the exact same recipe that I shared, and I feel like I need to pre-shape it. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just shaping it like I did before. So when I have one shaped, I'm just gonna cover it, and then I'm gonna shape the second loaf. And this is called pre-shaping. And you pre-shape to help the dough organize itself a little bit more so that the structure is a little bit better. I'm just gonna cover it, and then I will return in about 20 minutes. All right, so I shaped one loaf, and I can already tell you this looks so much better than the loaves did yesterday. I'm going to continue that and do the final shape for this one here. I think that pre-shaping can really help with a dough that is overproofed. Here. Oops. So I went ahead and baked the loaf from yesterday. Same recipe, same method, same starter, but this time I pre-shaped it and then did a final shaping like I showed you. And I want to show you the difference because it's night and day. This is what baked up with the new starter and with pre-shaping. It has a much better oven spring. It also just baked a lot better. I want to show you the one from yesterday, but I want you to see the difference. Just you can already see just like the height difference. I'm gonna cut into this one. See how she did. Oh, immediately better. That is incredible. Let me show you the loaf from yesterday. Again, same fermentation period, okay? Same recipe, same starter. One was pre-shaped, one wasn't. It's an incredible lesson as to why you shouldn't skip a step. I mean, for a baby, brand new baby starter, how amazing is that? If you do make a starter and make a sourdough with it, I would love to see your creation, so please tag me. I hope my little fail was helpful. I feel like we learn from our mistakes more than we learn from our successes. I hope this tutorial and lesson was helpful for you.